Chapter 2. Foreseen.
By Rayak.
Luna thought as she turned and saw a wall of monitors ahead of her.
What is this?
Looks like surveillance, like it did them any good.
Rogue glanced at the chair at the base of the monitors.
Luna, anything you'd like to share?
The chair began to turn before Luna could reply, and an elderly figure looked up at them with a glass in one hand and a cigarette in the other.
Well?
He asked in a confident voice.
What are you waiting for? Get on with it.
Luna?
I can't read him. It's like, no emotions, a mental blocker perhaps.
Don't you have places to be? People to kill? Other people, I mean.
Luna stepped forward.
You knew we were coming?
A smile crept onto his lips, and he nodded. Luna took a step back in confusion, but her companion showed no such uncertainty as she stepped forward, knives at the ready.
Rogue, wait!
It was already too late. The blades were in motion. Rogue brought them around in an arc, swiping across his neck and leaving two thin, bloody lines. Luna closed her eyes and turned away as the body slumped forward and unceremoniously fell to the floor in a heap.
Now what do you suppose all that was about?
Rogue asked as she sheathed her weapons.
I don't know.
Luna replied.
But we could have asked him if you hadn't just...
She paused, then tilted her head towards the door.
Is that... Rogue? The alarm is going off.
Yeah, probably got something to do with what's on these screens.
Luna glanced in Rogue's direction. The screens behind her proudly flashed with user fatality detected, alerting base.
Oh, well, isn't that great? Well done, Rogue. What did I say about your way causing problems?
Luna snapped.
Never mind all that.
Rogue shouted.
We've got to go. Now!
Yes, but not that way.
Luna replied, indicating the door they had come through.
The corridor is full of them.
Damn it. They knew we were coming.
I don't think that'll matter 10 secs from now.
Rogue made for the door and slammed into it just as someone on the other side tried kicking their way in.
Think of something!
We're in a room at the heart of a ship with no means of escape. There's only one way out, and it's through that door. What would you like me to think of?
Rogue snarled at Luna, then reached under her cloak as the door took another heavy blow. She stumbled away from it but managed to unsheath the long knife at her hip. She hurriedly returned to the door and pushed it as someone tried to come through. A bright glow emerged from under her mask as she sliced downward with the blade. An arm fell to the floor, still clutching a pistol, and a man screamed. Rogue kicked the disembodied limb over to Luna, then opened the door enough to pull the guard through. She slammed the door behind him, using his weight to keep it shut. His continued screams almost deafened them until Rogue pressed her knife to his throat.
Deal with it, or losing an arm will be the least of your worries.
Rogue hissed. The guard wisely managed to limit the sounds of his shock and agony to a few muffled whimpers.
I told you we should have killed them all. Now look at this mess.
She slammed her captive against the door as his moans grew louder again.
Shut up!
Luna fumbled with the pistol but eventually freed it from the grip of its previous owner's hand.
Wait, let's think about this. Can't we use him as leverage?
Luna, they decided this idiot should come in first. They don't care if he lives or dies.
He might be their best.
In which case, their best.
The door suddenly splintered as bullets ripped through both it and their hostage. Rogue dove to the floor and landed between the beds as the cacophony of gunshots echoed around them. The noise faded, and the dust settled. Rogue turned and watched as someone stepped through what remained of the door. Without thinking, she snatched the pistol out of Luna's hands, and with a piercing whine in her ears, fired several shots in the newcomer's direction. She opened fire again when another person came in behind him. Time slowed as the bodies slumped to the ground, and Luna scurried across the room, scooped up one of the fallen rifles, then turned it on the door and began firing. Thunk, kerthunk, kerthunk, kerthunk. Every trigger pull felt slower and more powerful than the last as the butt hammered into Luna's shoulder with every shot. Spent casings flew out of one side, nearly hitting Rogue as she scrambled to her feet and scooped up her blade. She stumbled towards Luna, who was looking down at the rifle. Confused, jumbled emotions and half-formed thoughts that were not her own played in Rogue's head. The mental link she had with Luna was always on and very strong. But sometimes, during periods of high stress, the connection would break down, like listening to a radio transmission through heavy static. From the way Luna kept working at the rifle, though, the situation was clear enough. The weapon was jammed. Rogue grabbed her companion and pulled her to the floor.
How many left?
Rogue shouted, the ringing in her ears louder than ever.
3 left as far as I can tell, but the whole ship knows we're here.
Their loss! Let's go!
Rogue pulled Luna to her feet and pointed the pistol at the door. She fired once and saw the round find a target before stepping through and tagging the last two guards. They stood open-mouthed in their awestruck confusion and died without raising their weapons, let alone firing a shot. Luna and Rogue picked their way through the tangle of limbs and bodies, almost tripping several times as they hurried back the way they'd come. Rogue collided with two more guards as she rounded a corner. Her face mask became dislodged as they fell to the floor in a tangled heap. Rogue recovered fastest, scrambling to her feet mere moments before the guards straightened up. One look at her was enough to fill their faces with panic.
Reclaimer!
One exclaimed, reaching for his rifle. Rogue glared at him, her dark eyes set into heavily tanned skin that ran thick with inky black markings. She reached for her blade just as Luna arrived and smashed the guards' heads together.
I had that.
Rogue grumbled as she stooped to recover her face mask. Luna grabbed her and began to pull her towards the airlock as the guards started to recover.
Come on, we have to go.
I should kill them.
No time. We don't know who else might be coming.
There's time. It won't take long.
Rogue, come on, we have to go.
Rogue allowed herself to be bundled through the inner airlock door and began to seal it behind them as Luna paced back and forth.
They saw your face.
So?
So even if we make it out of this, how do you think the fleets will react?
You should have let me kill them all then.
We've got to get out of here as fast as possible.
Rogue sighed.
You're right. So why worry about the fleets? There's nothing we can do.
I know, but
Look, they exiled us so they could wash their hands of us and our actions.
you're missing the point. This group.
I don't care about this group, Luna. I care about getting out of here.
She strode across the room to the other door and peered out.
It looks clear.
Should we activate the distraction?
I doubt it would do us any good.
Rogue pulled her mask back on and growled.
They knew we were coming. Our target saw us coming in. They're probably waiting for us, distraction or not.
I can't sense anyone.
A load of good that was back there.
I couldn't. He had some kind of blocker, all right? It was like he didn't exist to that part of me. He was emotionless. It was frightening.
We can figure out what it was or if you're just broken after we escape. Now, you want to help or are you just going to keep pacing?
Luna stopped in her tracks and glanced over at her companion. She took a deep breath and then nodded. Approaching the outer airlock, she closed her eyes and moved her head as if she were looking around.
Everyone is still inside the ship. If we hurry, we might be able to slip out before they set up exterior patrols.
If you say so. We're on close range only. That piece of crap pistol ran out on me.
Luna raised her hands.
The rifle jammed.
Like always. All right, let's go.
Rogue slipped her long blade out of its sheath and raised it to the barely open hatch. She pushed against the door with her hip, forcing it open. Outside, the junkyard lay in darkness and silence, seemingly deserted. The pair emerged from the ship slowly, scanned their surroundings a final time, then broke into a run. Rogue led them through the maze of pathways until they reached a container. Luna paused briefly to check it and, after giving the nod, kept watch while Rogue pulled the door open. They ran down its length until they came to a freshly cut hole, just big enough for them to fit through. As Luna squeezed out onto the empty plot of land next door, she heard shouting from the yard. She pulled Rogue through, and the two of them started sprinting in the direction of the spaceport, far off in the distance.